All right, we're almost ready to get started. If everyone can sign in up at the top of the document. Just put a yes by your name, we'll be fine. And while all of you do that, I will go ahead and start the summary of the event. We had a total of 457 starters, and you can see the breakdown by both category and gender to see what the participation was like. Numbers were not too different, but overall participation was slightly more than we had at the last Dark Mountain, but much less than we had at Browns Creek. So definitely, I think Western venues might be getting a little less participation than that Eastern venue. One positive note is that out of 457 starters, we had 13 reported injuries, and only 2 of those were DNFs, which was a 2.8% injury rate. And that is our best so far. So at Browns Creek, you can remember we had a 4% injury rate. At the first Dark Mountain dash, we had 3.3%, and now we're dropped that down by half a percentage point to 2.8%. So definitely trending in the right direction is what we would say that we are looking for. We had 2 reported injuries during the course inspection this time, and we had 0 at the last time. So that's something just to kind of be aware of, making sure that those student athletes out during course inspection are kind of appropriately being observed and taken through the course. We did add the lake loop to the course, which was a 5.5 mile distance overall. And there's been positive reviews from most coaches and student athletes, but I wanted to open the floor to everyone just to see what your thoughts were and things that you wanted to add about the new course and any of your thoughts and feelings that you had on it. So this would be a great time for you to share that. Any feedback on the course revision?
Hey, this is Sean Gentry with Myers Park. I would just say that was one of the funnest climbs ever. That's it. That climb is fantastic.
All right. Funnest climb ever. All right. Any other feedback?
This is Sharif. I didn't really hear any student athlete complain about the course being long or tough. I think most of them actually enjoyed it.
Oh, good. Good.
You are getting a couple of comments in the chat. Yeah.
All right. So folks, I've got a lot going on here. So speaking up will be a lot easier for me to manage if you can do that. Unless one of my colleagues can take over the chat for me.
I don't know how to raise your hand.
Elise Freed said Southern Wake loved the course, and Sydney from North Wake Trailhawk said the longer distance exacerbated the passing difficulties from different fields, also the compressed schedule.
Okay.
I'd actually like to hear from Sydney on what specifically was complicated from the longer course or the compressed schedule, because we did have for wave 2 a delay in the second 2 fields leaving, so we don't have a good sense if that ordering of those fields is appropriate, which I was hoping to get here. But Sydney, could you clarify why that longer course might have exacerbated or the compressed schedule, the passing issues?
slow kids from other fields?
I think what we observed was that the, student athletes were on the course longer. They were long, the laps were longer. So there was more chances of running into, kids from the previous field or even 2 or 3 previous fields in traffic.
We had 6th grade girls finishing ahead of 6th grade boys.
You can, yeah, there were 6th grade girls finishing ahead of 6th grade boys. And some of that was also the compressed schedule. So that was also the acknowledgement that was part of that. I thought the course was great and fun. It's just an acknowledgement of all of those things and understanding and, also acknowledging that, y'all did the best you could with the weather and time. And I thought you pulled it off pretty well. It was definitely an issue that we observed in several cases.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Another indicator, we look for those things compared to the previous Dark Mountain, a lot less positive sporting behavior reports, if you will. So I don't know if that's an indicator that the passing happened more appropriately or not. Acknowledge the fact that there might have been more passing amongst those fields, but we didn't get a lot of reports of that causing many issues, certainly from injuries or positive sporting behavior.
Yeah,
so thank you.
All 3 of the girls in our 6th grade field had problems passing riders from the 7th and 8th grade girls fields. And like I said, and they finished in terms of like coming across the line ahead of 6th grade boys. And those likely affected the outcomes of races as well.
All right, we've noted that. All right, other feedback on the course.
I definitely heard some feedback from some of the JV1 riders that it was a long climb and they didn't enjoy it. So I just want to put that in there, that not everybody was in love with the additional mileage. So just heads up.
All right.
I have a little bit of input from my 2 kids. Dad, who loved the first length, but did say the passing opportunities were less based on maybe there was a section of single or double track that was taken out from last course. They definitely said they felt like the short course was easier to pass on, but they did love the physical course that you used.
All right. Richard Siriano, you have your hand up.
Hey, yes. I worked the course marshal post 7, and between 6 and 7, there were some fatigues, but I must say that the camaraderie between the riders was awesome. Like from what I saw, the passing techniques were perfect. Everyone was really social with each other, and I thought it was super positive. So although it was, yes, single track, there was a huge amount of camaraderie between the riders from what I saw.
All right.
Hey, Rich, thanks for that. What shift were you on? Just so we can get an idea of what wave you might have been seeing.
So it was shift 2 and 3.
Oh, double duty. Rich, well done, sir. Thank you.
All right. Any other things to note for our review for the extended course? All right. Moving on to the course inspection revision. Definitely looking for your feedback on this, since this is essentially the first time we've done the new course inspection method in a real Saturday course inspection instead of a compressed schedule on Sunday. And one of the emails that I got about this was that maybe guidance for riders that are out during the green flag should be that they should be able to complete a lap without stopping and are comfortable being passed without pulling over completely. That would probably be a good benchmark for deciding who goes out. And another thing to note is that our Chief Course Marshal, Brian Wood, had to escort a lone student athlete off the course during the green flag session, and there should be no one out alone during green flag. The buddy system is in effect. If you have two riders that are going out, those two riders are sticking together no matter what. One is not deciding that they're not having a good day and let the other rider ride off without them. They have to stick together until they finish a lap, and then they can readjust who they're riding with. What other feedback do you all have about this new course inspection procedure?
So this is Diane Bush with DSA.
Yes.
It worked well for us. One thing we noticed was at the end of the first round, which I guess is red flag, we didn't see a lot of people going out. And so we had some yellow flag people that were kind of itching to go. And we were wondering if it was okay to go ahead and send them on the course if we didn't see anybody else starting out toward the end of the red flag.
No, we really want to keep those spaces sacred, because as soon as we say use your judgment, then we're back to square one, and we're not being respectful of the time. So really, everyone's just got to wait. You've got plenty of time, but we want to make sure that everybody has all the time they need to get on and off the course. So it's not just a matter of getting on the course, but actually everyone getting off that needs to be off during that red flag. And if there's a little space when riders are not on course waiting for that flag shift, that's fine, because then we're making sure that everyone's got the appropriate space that they need.
Gotcha.
Another thing that I've heard multiple reports of, not just at this race, but at other races as well, is coaches that are with student athletes under the yellow flag that maybe are lower grades or not the same speed, and especially with their female student athletes, are having coaches kind of riding right up on them and being maybe unintentionally aggressive, but definitely obvious that the pace is too slow for them. And I gotta say, we're like, that's not who we are. We've got to start being respectful of each other and giving that space. And if a coach on your team is behaving in that manner, I would hope that head coaches and team directors, you're going to have a talk with that coach. That's not an appropriate way to be leading under the red and the yellow flag conditions, that you are riding right up on the group in front of you, trying to subtly, but without saying anything, get them to understand they need to get out of your way. That's just not what this is about. And we've got to be respectful of others. And maybe that means that you just need to stop and give some space. And that's what I've done in the past whenever I'm leading my group out, because we're never really getting into the flow. If I just stop my group and give about 2 or 3 minutes of distance between me and the group in front of me, then I've got a lot more open space to work with. And then the next time we run into those teams in front of us, we just do another pause and then come back in. we have got as a community to be respectful of each other. I do not want to sit here and tell you I'm going to penalize or I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that, because that's not the way out of this. The way out of this is to recognize and understand that everyone's out there trying to do the same thing with their student athletes, give them space, give them a positive environment to learn in, and to make sure that they're having a positive experience. And we want to make sure that everybody gets that. So just cool your jets, hold your horses, take a pause, take a breath, give some space, and then get back to doing what it is that you need to do. Head coaches and team directors, if you feel like you want to have a deeper conversation with me about that, I am definitely open to that. But for now, let's just leave it with be respectful of everyone else. And remember, it's nice to be nice.
This is Elise. Sorry. This is Elise from Southern Wake.
Okay, I was
and
about to
just
say
want
you
say
needed
thank
like
you
a
for saying
really
that.
nice beat with that. Go ahead, Elise.
I just want to say thank you for bringing that up because our
Oh.
team had issues with that.
Not a problem. I wasn't there, but I've heard it enough times to where I feel like that respect issue needs to be kind of addressed. And I think that we model for our student athletes the right way to do things, and we definitely want to do that. Other feedback about the course inspection. What tweaks do we need to make? Because this was our first run of like this real red flag, single lappers, yellow flag, multi lappers, and then green flag buddy system. How did that work for everybody? So Eric says that he went out under the red flag with my student athletes and had the best experience that I've ever had in the last 4 years of coaching. I like the schedule. And then Sunday Grant says it seemed to work well. Good. I'm glad to hear it. Be thinking about any tweaks that you might have or concerns. And by all means, you can email me those and I will take a look at them and see what we can do. All right. If there's nothing else about course inspection, then I would like to move on to what was our most popular penalty at the last Dark Mountain, which was not our most popular penalty at this Dark Mountain, which was great. And that was that there were far less positive sporting attitude penalties, much less cursing on course, to be very pointed about it. So I think that was really nice. I wasn't there, so maybe y'all were cussing up a storm and just nobody heard it, but everything that I heard was that it was a far better environment and that it was just not really an issue at all. So did anyone have any feedback for that? Sunday, you accidentally cussed when one of your boys came out of the woods in third. I was so proud of him. Oh, we'll give you a pass on that. Richard, go ahead.
So, while doing the course marshal posts, there were several times where a rider would have trouble or crash, and without delay, there'd be 2 or 3 riders saying, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" So, to reiterate the camaraderie, I know I said it before, but it was just from where I was, I could hear from where I was and above the trail, because it ran above me as well, where they couldn't even see me as the course marshal. It was outstanding. So good stuff.
That's awesome to hear. I wish we could give like a time bonus to student athletes that helped each other, but then I'm afraid like somebody would figure out that they could intentionally crash somebody and then help them just to get the time bonus. So I don't want to go down that road, but it's great to hear that everybody is like asking, are you okay? Do you need anything? That sort of thing. That's definitely the environment that we want to have. I think that's really positive. Anything else anyone would like to share? Awesome. Well, now is the time when I'm going to open the floor to you all for just any feedback or areas for improvement that you want to share about. I know there's been a little bit of talk about the compressed schedule, any of those sorts of things. This would be a great time for you to kind of bring those up and let us become aware of them so that we can address them. Yes, Sunday.
So I know with how this Dark Mountain was, I know every course is different. I don't know if there's a possibility of putting porta johns like inside pit zone, because you know, even for those student athletes that have like those final jitters of using the bathroom, and then you can't get to the porta johns because the course is blocked. And I'm sure with just how that race is set up, that might be it. And I'm sure logistics of that could be hard, but it just, you know, it's like once racing starting, you can't get to the porta johns. And I know those last minute jitter bathroom breaks are important.
So Ben Harbor, are you on the call?
John, even if Ben isn't available to chime in, I will tell you Sunday, it is a logistics consideration at Dark Mountain specifically because we want to ensure that the company can clean those porta johns out on Saturday. So, well, let's just not talk about what might happen Sunday if they don't get cleaned out. Some of our venues don't have that issue. I'm thinking ahead to Mayodan where they're right outside the kind of baseball field where we have pit zone and it's not anywhere near the course. It's a specific thing about Dark Mountain, but your point is well taken. We'll try and do the best we can to get some better access to those things.
And the porta johns were very clean all weekend, I will have to say. So thank you.
Welcome. Thank you for the comment.
Yeah, I was wondering if during the red loop time, there's a way to squeeze in another 15 minutes. I know it's probably impossible, but what I was seeing was there's kids that want to do the red time. They can only get one lap in. There's not enough time to get 2 laps in. And they don't have the skills to ride in the green time. So if there's a way we could get with the red loop kids would get a chance to get a second loop in, it would be pretty cool.
Okay.
I have a question about the feed zone.
Yes.
So we just had a bit of a hiccup trying to juggle, you know, various roles with our coaches. And at one point, just unfortunately, a coach didn't happen to have on the appropriate recognizable coach attire, had to take off a layer because he got too hot and, you know, was then called out and unable to distribute the water to the athletes. Fortunately, I happened to be there and was able just to like switch roles real quick, but, you know, just was thinking, gosh, you know, certainly wasn't intentional. But the negative would be that if I hadn't been standing there, you know, there were about at least two athletes that may not have gotten water, and obviously it was warm and there were some people having issues with that. Some of the student athletes having some issues with hydration. So, you know, I don't know how.
So in the past, we have a roll of tape at the feed zone, and we just need a roll of tape with the name of the team on the shirt. Like that's literally as simple as it needs to get. We just need something to identify so that we don't have, and we've seen this at some races, like all of a sudden there's just a bunch of parents in there. And that's what we're trying to prevent, is that there's just a bunch of people just kind of milling about for one rider. Like it's got to be that team kind of feeding crew. And that way we can monitor like how many people are in there to feed. So if you've got 3 riders on course, you shouldn't have 5 people in the feed zone. You should have 1 kind of thing. So that's what helps us. But it can be as simple as just a piece of tape that says the name of the team. That's all it's required. Just
Okay, I
something
don't
that's
think-
identifiable.
Okay, I don't think either one of us were aware of that option.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
good to know.
Yep. Sharif.
Yeah, I'm just one quick suggestion maybe. If there's a possibility to space out the grid pre-ride and 1 lap ride that happens for the league, because I saw that the grid girls will come in and they will end up missing their league ride, or they just have to go back out right away. And so if there was a possibility to space those 2 out for a little bit.
Okay.
I'll add to that I did get a lot of feedback from coaches and parents this weekend that's one complication that's resulted from the change in the course preview is that 1-lappers that the grit pre-ride is geared towards now have to turn around and go straight right back out again if they're going to pre-ride with their team at all, because they can't be out during the other times.
All right.
I'm sure the longer course also made that, more difficult that they were closer to overlapping.
Diana, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, I don't know, just a thought, what if we switched around the yellow ride first and then the red ride? Because then us coaches who'd been on the grit ride could get rest up too.
Okay, so thinking maybe of putting multi-lap under the red and single lap under the yellow.
Yeah, or just do yellow first, then red. Yellow, red, green.
I don't want to do that because we're all used to red, yellow, green. Like as soon as I start messing with the stoplight, then everybody's going to get super confused. But yeah, I get what you're saying. So I'm just changing it up a little bit. Seems like a possible solution.
I also wanted to say one of the things I thought was really kind of great about the day was I personally liked the compressed schedule because people were hanging around to see the varsity more, and also because of the rain, everybody put down their tent and there was no reason to stay in the pit zone. So everybody was standing at the finish line much more so than usual, I thought.
All right, excellent. Richard.
Hey, I'd just like to say excellent job logistically. I know it's like herding cats sometimes. And just great job with the race overall. This may come across not so smooth, but if you want to have a greater appreciation for everything that this step does as a volunteer, go ahead and volunteer, because it's a huge task and we appreciate it. And I know we nitpick the little things in Monday morning quarterback, but all in all, just excellent job by everyone. And if you really want to appreciate it, get out on the trail and come join me as a course marshal.
That is a not so shameless plug from a completely unsolicited volunteer. So thank you, Richard. And those of you that want to volunteer, Diane's the person to see. All right. Other feedback or areas for improvement that anyone noted from this past weekend? Dogs were leashed. Cussing was at a minimum. Seems like it was a great affair. Everybody had a good time. And you got to race with impending doom. And I got caught in the rain that was like, I think hit around 4:45, maybe 5 o'clock, and it was just a torrential downpour. So I think you narrowly dodged a bullet by the compressed schedule. Is there anything else that anyone has feedback on for the weekend?
I have my fingers crossed that the weather cooperates for the next race and we don't have the compressed schedule.
Let's hope that we can just have like the first race and the last race are all good, like nothing weird, nothing crazy. That would be awesome. And if not, it's Ben Harbor's fault. And it's all the curse of Dark Mountain. So we got to race Dark Mountain twice, neither of them in the best weather, and it caused the cancellation of 3 other races. So it's all good, but it was at a heavy cost, but we made up for all the years of not racing Dark Mountain. So that's been good. All right. Well, thank you very much. How does everybody feel about this later time, 8 o'clock than 7:30, now that we've got a little bit more daylight in the day? I know I was trying to get out with my team a little bit longer today and not be too crunched for time getting home. So that's why I pushed it back a little bit. And we'll do that for the next call as well. So I appreciate that. Glad that it works out for those of you that are giving me feedback on that. So thank you very much for taking the time to give us your thoughts and feelings. And just to let you be aware that you will be getting a survey. So coaches, we're going to be asking you to kind of look at rule changes that you would like to make. And we're going to be soliciting those so that we can take a look at them and figure out what we want to put forward to NICA for rule changes or additions for next year. So that will be coming in the next little bit. It won't be before Mayodan, but it'll be shortly after that. And as always, if anyone has any questions, concerns, or just needs to talk or work something out, you can email me and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. All right. Thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it. And be seeing you at Mayodan.